Hey everyone, welcome back to Tip of the Week. For this week's video, I want to share with you my 5 tips for stunning landscape photos inside ON1 Photo RAW 2019. So my first tip for stunning landscape photos is a really basic one, but it's a great tool when you're looking to remove any excess out of your photo, gain a new perspective, or switch up your composition. And that tip is to simply crop. The crop tool is an awesome tool for landscape photos because more often than not, you're going to need to crop your photo in some way. So if I want to grab my crop tool, I can just hit C on my keyboard. Now if I want to modify my crop, I can head up here to my tool modifier bar, and I can use this drop down menu, and I can choose a preset crop. For this photo, I'm just going to pull this in quite a bit and show you the power of the crop tool. So now if we hit enter, our photo looks a lot more interesting now that we've cropped it. But if we want to gain a new perspective on our photo, we can do a different crop to see what it looks like. So I'll just hit C on my keyboard again, and I'm going to go up to my preset styles, and I'm going to choose a 4x5. And I'm going to swap the width and the height so that it's vertical. Now I'm going to pull this down, and I'll drag this over here. And now if I hit enter, we have a completely new composition for this photo, and it's still an interesting one. My second tip for stunning landscapes would be to color correct your photo. A lot of the times when we're photographing landscapes, we're going to be shooting outside, and there's going to be some different light sources and different colors hitting our lens. So we can counteract that inside ON1 Photo RAW by modifying the color inside of our tone and color pane inside of our develop tab. And if we head down to this color area here, we can modify it by using these different sliders. So for this photo, it seems like it's a little bit cool. So I'm going to head down to my temperature slider, and I'm going to warm it up a little bit. And that's going to remove a little bit of that blue cast on my photo. But it also brings a little bit of warmth into these tree areas in here that I want to be green. So I'll head down to my tint slider, and I'll pull back on it to the green area. So now if I hit the backslash key on my keyboard, we've quickly set the color for the photo simply by using those two sliders. My third tip for stunning landscapes is to know when to apply detail. Most of the time when we're editing landscape photos, we're going to want to bring in a little bit of detail into our photo. It makes it interesting and it makes it pop a little bit. But adding too much detail to an area where you don't want it can muddy up the image and make it look unnatural. So if you're looking to apply detail to your photo and you're not worried about it being applied to your entire photo, I would recommend using your tone and color pane and pulling up on your structure slider here. Pulling up on this will bring a lot of nice micro contrast and detail into your photo and make it pop a bit. The only drawback to the structure slider is that you can't selectively apply it like you would be able to with effects and local adjustments. But if I turn this off and on, you'll see it does a good job of really bringing out a lot of the detail in this shot. But let's say we want to selectively apply that detail. Let's say we don't want that detail applied on the reflection in the water because we know that should be as smooth as possible. Well, we can reset this structure slider here, and there's two ways we can selectively apply detail. The first way is to head into Effects, we'll add a filter, and we'll add dynamic contrast. Next, we'll head into the masking options here, then we'll select invert. So by inverting this mask, I'm concealing the entire filter from my photo. So now I can go on and with my masking brush, I can just brush that detail on where I want it to be applied to. And now if I turn this off and on, you'll see it's only being applied to this top area here and nowhere on the water. And if you want to apply detail with a local adjustment, I'll just exit out of this filter, head into my local adjustments tab here. I'll select this detail option, and now I can do the same thing. My fourth tip for stunning landscapes would be to stylize using different filters. So I've set my basic tonality for this photo, but now I want to creatively style it inside of effects. So I'm going to head into effects, and I'm going to give you my 3 go-to landscape filters for stylizing landscape photos. The first one is definitely the sunshine filter. And the sunshine filter is great for adding just a little bit of boost in your photo. It brings in some color, brings in some brightness, and darkens a little bit of the shadows. Perfect for a little color and brightness punch. And my second favorite filter to stylize landscape photos has to be this split tone filter. And my favorite preset in here is this warm one. And the reason I like the split tone filter is because it adds a lot of creative control so that you can boost the colors in the highlights and in the shadows. So if I turn this off and on, it brings in a little bit of style, a little bit of fade, and a lot of creative look. And my third favorite landscape filter has to be this vignette filter here. And I just love this big softy preset. And I usually go up and I lower the opacity just a little bit, just so it blends in with the shot. And the reason I like vignettes for landscapes is because if I turn this off and on, it helps to focus the viewer's attention on our subject here. So now if we hit the backslash key on our keyboard, you'll see how those 3 filters really helped us stylize this landscape shot. So my final tip for stunning landscapes is to use local adjustments to paint light and dark in certain areas on your shot. So if you notice in my Develop tab here, I've already set my basic tone for my shot. And if I go into effects, I've stylized it by using different filters. But there's a couple areas on the shot that I want to modify by using local adjustments. I want to darken this sky area up here, and I want to pull out some of the shadows within these rocks and in these trees. So if I want to do that selectively, I can head in and I can add a new local adjustment layer, and I'll just make sure it's set to darken, and now I'll just brush that on my sky area. And now I can head into my local adjustment layer, and I'll pull back on the opacity to make it look more natural. So if I turn this off and on, it does a good job of bringing a lot of that detail and that mood back into my sky area. So now if I want to pull out some of the shadow detail from these trees and these rocks here, I can add a new local adjustment layer. I'll select a preset style, and I'll choose Reveal Shadows. Now I'm just going to lower my brush size, and I'm just going to paint this on the areas that I want to reveal the shadows. So I'll head back to my local adjustment layer, and I'll pull back to make it natural. And now if I turn this off and on, it does a good job of revealing a lot of those darker tones that we were trying to pull out from the rocks and trees.